So today we have our TDS guests from the US of A. And why are we talking about USA is because we have our ICAN, the International Conference for Autism and Neurodevelopmental Disorders, happening in the US of A, which is going to be happening on the 17th and the 18th of April 2025 at the Omni Resort, ChampionsGate. And believe me, it's going to be an amazing experience because the theme of ICAN this time is Voices of Autism, personal journeys, professional insights. So you will hear from the individuals on the spectrum themselves. Who else can narrate their stories better than them? Next will be parents who will be sharing in their experiences, and definitely our professionals and doctors as well. What a combination is that going to be? Isn't it exciting, guys? So I am definitely waiting for this particular event, which is the ICAN. And one more exciting thing that I would love to share with y'all. Dr. Temple Grandin, who herself is on the spectrum, an author, a speaker, and an autism rights activist. We already know her. She is going to be present with us in person. Yes. And also to join us along is going to be Matt Morgan, who is a former WWE wrestler, and he is a father of a child on the spectrum. And we have Thomas Island, who is going to be our end keynote speaker. Amazingly exciting stuff coming up your way, everyone. Stay tuned for more information. And yes, don't forget to register. The registration link you will definitely find there in our description. So do not forget to register and be a part of this exciting conference. So now let's tune in back to our TDS. Navigating autism together, one story at a time. So welcome both of you today to the Dolly Show. And I'm so happy and glad that both of you are here. This is what makes the Dolly Show unique. So we have our professional who is Megan, and she's an ABA therapist. We have a mother, and her name is Jennifer, and she is a mother as well as an autism specialist. So we are so happy to have you both, and a lot of new aspects that we will be discussing today with both of you. So yes, let's first start with you. Megan, first and foremost, I would love to know your journey and what led you to get into this field?
Yeah, so I started coming out of college and going for a master's in psychology and realized that I had never actually worked with like a wide range of people. I had worked in a very specific equine therapy with teenagers throughout college, and I kind of went, well, if you're going to get a master's on this, you should probably know a little bit more of what's in the field and what to work on. And so I had never really worked with individuals with disabilities, and I wanted anyone to come through the door to receive therapy for it to be something I was comfortable with. And I didn't want to not be able to provide service for a very wide range of the population. So I started at the Premier Center for Autism in Orlando, Threshold, and started getting involved with working in the group homes there, working on the direct floor. And I saw with ABA how you're able to take data and actually really visually see on graphs if they're making improvement or not. And I thought that was really cool and really unique compared to mental health counseling being very subjective sometimes on, are we feeling a little better this week, feeling a little worse this week, are we feeling about the same? Everything's really dependent on the person being able to just vocalize and say, yeah, things seem to be doing better. I'm having less of this or I'm having more of that. So I thought that was really cool. And it kind of got me started into where I was growing in mental health counseling, and I was finishing my master's, and I was working in the group homes. And I got provided an opportunity to get my board certified assistant behavior analysis done. So I did that through the group homes. And then I was like, well, I got half of it done. I might as well go for my BCBA and do another 2 years of schooling and get that done. So that's kind of how I navigated my way here to being a licensed mental health counselor and a board certified behavior analyst, and kind of trying to merge what I love with working with individuals with disabilities and ABA, along with mental health counseling, and my passion in mental health counseling really being trauma and getting actual trauma support and trauma therapy.
We'll definitely talk about that in deep. Trauma therapy, I would love to know about that. Yes, Jennifer, over to you.
Yes, so my journey started with Isaiah when my 15-year-old nephew came to live permanently with my husband and I. And he has level 3 autism. He's severely developmentally delayed, and he's nonverbal. And we really didn't have any real understanding of how to take care of him, what his needs were. So I felt that it was important to get a solid understanding. And so I started taking classes because I really wanted to know and understand. And that just led me to keep going. And so that's how we started.
Fantastic. It's really amazing to know how and what led you all into the journey of autism. So going ahead further, Jennifer, I would really love to know about your books and the creative initiatives that you have taken.
Thank you. So I'm an artist and a writer, and that is how I express myself. And I just I saw a need with the lack of understanding with children as well as adults, both in the autism community and in the general public. And so I felt compelled to write a children's book series just explaining autism. The first one is Izzy Can't Talk, and we have it right now in a few languages. We have it in English, Spanish, and Mandarin, but we're looking to translate it to other languages.
Wow.
But this book focuses on the communication of techniques that we use with our unarmed child. So sign language, PECS. We also have an ACC speech device.
Wow.
The second book is Izzy Can't Talk, but he can make friends. And with that, we talk about the social part and the struggles with autism. And then the third book is we talk about meltdowns, and mostly in public. So these are the issues that we've really struggled with. And so I know that there needs to be more understanding across the autism community and the general public.
So this seems pretty like an easy to understand kind of a...
Yeah, I purposely wrote it for children, but also for everyone to understand. So when you read it, you really understand Izzy's problem, his frustration that he can't communicate.
Fantastic. I would love to know about this little toy that you have there.
Yeah, so this is the Izzy doll. So I have the books, and we also have coloring books. We have the Izzy doll. These are just some other tools that teachers can use and therapists can use to engage learning. I find that, with the coloring books and the doll, when you're having this play and the activity time, it gives you more time to really teach these fundamentals. It's been surprising how many people don't even know that there are persons that can't speak. I've gotten that quite a bit, and I didn't even realize there were people that can't talk. So these are great tools, the doll, the coloring book.
So how did you come up with this idea? What made you, get onto these inventions?
Well, really, it just, as we go through the community, Isaiah and our family, we get a lot of looks. Isaiah can't talk. He's carrying around a speech device, and little kids looking. And so I we need to be able to explain this. We need to be able to have a way to teach. And so that was really what started it. Is I just through our everyday life, seeing people not understand. So,
And you said you're into art as well.
yes, so we create art that just empowers disabled people and inclusion. It's my mission. So that started with the book, and I have art that I want people that are disabled to see themselves in art. I want to normalize people with disabilities. I want that to create more awareness, inclusion, and specifically self-worth for people that have autism and are disabled. This is hard. When you have a disability, you already feel that you're not good enough, that you're inadequate in some ways, and that's not true. So I feel like if we can empower people through art and people can see themselves in art, then that's a way that we can begin to heal that.
So this is what you have curated, right?
Yes. I have greeting cards, postcards. We have art, acrylics, canvas, different themes, but it's all based around disabilities and empowering disabilities.
Fantastic, amazing, impressive.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Even from working with adults in counseling, and it's been such a privilege to have them be able to like share their experiences, and the like lack of representation is something that they really struggle with, and wanting to have their experiences normalized through art and through a different form that they enjoy.
Yeah, because when you think about it, art transcends language.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can speak or if you speak a different language, you can see art and it speaks to your soul. It speaks to your heart. So that's why I think it's just a powerful tool. And as an artist, it's what I know to start with. So that's...
So you think that art is a form of communicating?
Sure.
That can be taught to children,
Sure.
It can be used as a medium of communication.
Oh, for sure. And expression, yes.
Correct. So yes, Megan, I would love to know about the EMDR therapy.
Yeah.
It's something interesting that we would love to know.
Yeah, so it stands for eye movement desensitization and rapid processing. It's a way of bilaterally stimulating the body. So the eye movement comes from, we stimulate the eyes going back and forth while you're processing a particular traumatic memory in very small fragments. This kind of helps you from getting over flooded. It also is having different parts of the brain activated as you're processing these very small fragments. And so what happens is new connections are able to be made. And so you'll see clients going through EMDR therapy, what happens is they have a very negative thought attached to themselves that they learned through trauma, right? So if I learn that every time I have a really big feeling, it means I'm bad and I'm shameful, then all of these memories of me having a big emotion or a tantrum out in public, right, ends up correlating into I'm bad, I'm shameful. So we take all of the memories they might have on these, the bigger ones, and when they remember starting to make this correlation of when I do this, it means I'm bad. And we start to break that down in EMDR with giving them a different positive reflection on what they would like to focus on.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it might be, I'm human. I'm allowed to feel my emotions. I'm safe to feel my emotions. And we start to have them practice saying that as they're processing the traumatic memory of the image with the bilateral movement. And you can do eye movement to simulate it. You can do pressure points with the hands. Sometimes you'll do buzzers. Once you start to feel the carpal tunnel in your wrist, you probably want to move over to a light bar, let the light bar do the work. Because usually the EMDR sessions will last 50 minutes to an hour, and you're working on one small part of the trauma. And so you're running through these eye movements probably 200, 300 times in a session. So that's one sort of brief way of processing EMDR. And then I also utilize a technique called flash. And I really like Flash because you don't even have to tell me about the traumatic memory. So a lot of my adult clients really like that. Or if you have a client that's able to talk and explain some things, but maybe they can't verbalize it super well, or it's something that's really embarrassing or very private that they feel would be triggering just to even talk about. Flash is a way where they think about the traumatic memory, and then we think about a different positive memory. And then I have them do taps against their body while I count, and I have them blink. And what happens is the brain is working on processing the traumatic memory while they're focusing on the happy memory. And then I'm just repeatedly checking in through session. Where are we feeling in our body? Is it feeling better? Is it feeling worse? Is it feeling about the same? Let's try this. Let's go with this. And we figure out that emotion that started at maybe like a 10 out of 0 of 10, worst feeling in the world, maybe we knock it down to like a 4 or a 3 in one session.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's a lot of, you're reconnecting, you're re-regulating with your body in a safe way. You've probably never been able to experience that. If you have a lot of trauma, we know that trauma kind of stands for disconnection. So you can think of any time trauma happens, you're disconnected from your body. It's kind of why I was saying with parents, when you have a kid that's super dysregulated, now is not the time to teach. They're not going to learn anything.
Right.
You have to figure out what helps them get to regulation. And with our kids or with our adults with autism that can't verbally say it, that can be really hard to do. That can be hard to learn how we need to regulate. I mean, I struggle sometimes with knowing what I need in a specific situation.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And is this the same that we were talking about trauma therapy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with EMDR.
It's the same. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's an amazing thing to know.
It is.
I myself would love to go through.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, especially for people that they know they have trauma. They've been turned off by therapy because they've had a bad therapist or they've had an ineffective therapist, which is the same as well for BCBAs with, ABA therapy. Like there's good therapy out there and there's bad therapy out there. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be nosy, like be annoying, please. I don't mind it. We tell our parents when they start all the time, you can come walk through those doors at any point. We want you to know at any point what we're doing with your kids here, because we understand that that's very scary, that you have to trust a place and just know that they're going to be okay.
So true. So true. So, I mean, this therapy, you give it only to children on the spectrum? I mean, adults or children, or to parents as well?
So a lot of times I utilize this treatment for across the board for everyone.
Okay.
So I have utilized it with teenagers and adults on the spectrum. I find it's a lot more effective than talk therapy. A lot of times in talk therapy, we get a little bit overregulated, or we're continuing to just reprocess the trauma without ever actually feeling better in our bodies. I haven't utilized it for parents yet.
Because we're just talking about it. We are not solving it.
Yeah. You're still holding, I think, especially trauma too, and like big emotions, you can think of like energy and it just gets stuck in your body. And so you keep trying to talk about it, but it's not actually discharging the feelings out. So we work a lot on really figuring out with our kids too, with the trauma, then what also is like helping to fill their sensory cups. Are they getting their sensory cups filled? Explaining to parents that bucket may be a really big bucket for some of our kids with sensory cups. It might be really small. It might be like a teacup, which means their teacup gets overfilled really quickly, and you're going to need headphones. You're going to need different tools and things in, public to help them handle the overstimulation around them.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of my younger adults, when they've started with me, they're like, I really wanted art therapy, or I wanted something with like outdoors therapy, but I couldn't find anything. A lot of these therapies are not easily accessible.
Right.
So even just finding a therapist that's willing to help you process in ways that feel safer and work with your body and understand regulation, right? And are okay and encouraging with, if I see you rocking a lot on the screen, even if I'm doing virtual therapy, I might recommend like some other sensory filling things instead of wondering, well, why are they rocking? Well, they're rocking because they need to self-soothe themselves.
Right.
Fantastic. That was amazing. Over to you, Jennifer. So you have spoken a lot in a lot of conferences. So I would love to know, how is your interaction been, and how do you go about that?
So I generally talk about traveling and engaging in the community. Those are topics that I'm very passionate about. I think that a lot of people, autistic people that are severely autistic, tend to stay at home because it's easier. It's really hard to navigate the community. It's really hard to navigate the airports, hotels. It's hard. And so I like to open conversations about that. And at conferences, I talk about how you can be safe, but live your life. And that's
Fantastic, because I just went through your profile and there were quite known conferences that you have attended and been a speaker at. So I was like, let me just get that point over. Wow, that's nice to know. And over to you, Megan. So if you wish to discuss, what does a typical day in your organization look like?
Yeah, so I mean, we're open from 8 to 5. We try to have somewhat of a block schedule where we have the same age of kids coming kind of throughout the day. So they're working on different social skills, peer skills, communication skills, self-regulation. We're really fortunate at my clinic as well that we have a lot of past ESE teachers. And so they really have changed the way that we are utilizing ABA in the clinic. It's not quite so rigid with like, sit at the table and that's a cat, say cat. They really bring a lot of play and a lot of learning. So that's where those books and like those characters are great. Like we would absolutely use that in the clinic to kind of bridge where we're trying to teach and learn, but also wanting to make it fun and make it in a way that they can really connect with and enjoy. So we have a schedule that we run through at the clinic that does different activities throughout the day. Our kiddos stick with pretty much their same registered technician and their same behavior analyst, so they're able to really build that relationship. And then we kind of build generalization and we build having them work with bigger teams down the road. But initially, I like them to really just be able to come in and get that structure and that routine that we kind of talked about previously. That's so important. They can come in, they know exactly who they're working with, they can build that relationship. And then we have an afternoon program because working with some of the older kids is a huge passion to mine. A lot of the clinics and a lot of the places in the area will only take the littles, so 5 and under, because A, it maximizes hours, and B, insurance is a lot easier to get those approved. I have insurance comes back in a 2-year-old, no problem, here you go. Insurance with a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, oh, we don't pay for that. Oh, we don't cover that. We don't support that. So there's just already so many barriers against these older kids getting services that we didn't intend to specialize in it or like have this really big afternoon social group. I think by the nature that we're just really passionate about wanting to help anyone that's having difficulties, and we wanted to make it that if you come to me and you're like, I need help. My kid is really intense. Like we're having self-injurious behavior the entire day. We're like, great. We have a clinic that can provide that, because so many places will see a child that really needs a service and they go, we don't have the ability to do that here. And they don't. They have very small clinics. They have small spaces. They don't have a safety place. I've been in many places where I'm like,
experienced that a lot.
Yeah. Like
a lot with our older child, because Isaiah he was 15 when he came to us. He's 19 now, and we really have struggled to find providers because of his age.
Yeah.
Even though he is milder, but he does have some aggression. I mean, he's nonverbal, so there are outbursts, and it's been exactly like you said, really difficult.
It's hard. We know all behavior is communication. So it doesn't necessarily scare me if you tell me like my 15-year-old is hitting. I'm like, okay, well, that's probably the first thing we're going to address is we're going to figure out how to replace what he's hitting. And that doesn't necessarily mean that like we're going to go, oh, well, he hits for the tablet, so we're going to completely remove the tablet. No, we probably need to teach him how to like appropriately access the tablet every single time he needs it, and then slowly bring in more skills from there on accepting alternatives or being able to regulate when there's a denied access or waiting for it. But originally, like ABA is supposed to help teach and communicate to children and adults how to get the things they need. It's not supposed to say, oh, I'm going to come in here and teach you a whole different normative way of doing things.
Right.
We're supposed to be giving them a replacement to still get the same outcome.
Correct.
ABA was a game changer for us. I mean, if we hadn't had ABA, then Isaiah would not be communicating at the level that he is now. And we wouldn't be able to travel with him and do the things that we do. So I'm really glad that we had it. There's so much negativity in in this speech. A lot of people just say how evil ABA is. And I think a lot of that stems from older generations where things were different. But that was also a time where, autistic people were being put in institutions and, not as much engagement in the classrooms. So I think that mindset
needs to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
I do believe, especially with being like in mental health counseling, just because ABA works for like a lot of children doesn't mean it has to be for every child. Like you can still, I would typically recommend speech and OT for almost every child. I've never seen speech and OT not be beneficial or effective. I get that ABA is, it's longer days. And so that's a lot of feedback too, is like, this seems like a really intense treatment. What I've kind of seen is daycares tend to be way more overflooding and way more overwhelming than our ABA clinics where you're with a one-on-one with your technician. But yeah, the history of ABA is horrible. Like the compliance factor, like I said before, it's about helping them get what they want still. Like we're still getting to the same outcome. I'm just changing the behavior it takes to get there. I don't want you to have to hurt yourself and bite yourself to get a break. I want you to just be able to tap a break card or say break in a more effective way. You still get the break.
Right.
But yeah, we still deal with working it through with technicians on, hey, like, we're not going to put that demand there right now. Hey, like, she's overregulated. Let's let her calm down. Let's take a step back. We are not going to continue to issue this demand over and over and over again when she's been in tantrum for 10 minutes.
Right.
We need to help her de-escalate and come back to calm.
Yeah. That's a good BCBA.
Yeah. So yes, you, Jennifer, have been involved in the PECS panel, parents panel. So could you just let us know more about that?
Yes. So I worked with Lori Frost and Andy Bondi. They're the creators of PECS, which is Picture Exchange Communication System, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's using picture cards as a form of communication, and I actually in the book, it's one of our forms of communication, and they actually really loved the book, and so we talked about that. Let me show you the PECS picture here. Yeah, so this is when we're trying to figure out with Izzy, like what he wants. We're using the picture card. So we, I did the panel with them about how we communicate and how the PECS really has helped our family, and it has. We use it traveling. We use it for our morning routine. It's cooking. It's in all of the things, hygiene, in all of his routines, he has his picture cards, and we go through them, and it's been a game changer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of my older adults would commonly tell me, like, I think in pictures. So like I have to spend a lot of time before session really thinking about what I want to say and how I want to process it to you, which I feel terrible about. But like they have to kind of like have a game plan for going in to communicate with me because everything is in pictures in their head.
For sure.
And so it makes sense.
The transitions. So using the PECS, the picture cards, it makes our transitions so much smoother because if we try to just give the verbal prompts, Isaiah can get stuck. But when he sees a picture of the truck, okay, we're going in the truck. When he sees a picture of, okay, it's time for a bath. I mean, it just clicks. And so it makes things so much easier. So yeah, it's definitely a wonderful communication system.
Fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
and we work it in with, I mean, we don't just use pets. We use sign language. We use a speech device. We use gestures. So all of the things, because, you know, we're a family, and the tablet may not be charged at this moment. The PEX cards might be in the car, or all of as much communication options as we can have, we use.
Yeah.
So.
Fantastic. So that brings me to a question. So we have been delving deep into specific therapies or specific kind of approach. Now, what do you think? What are your views about a holistic approach? Is what you both cater to. So I would really love to know about how do you do a holistic approach, and that is more long lasting, correct? So let's just talk about that.
I think you have to involve the family. And if you're having trouble involving the family, then figure out what the actual barriers are and be willing to like work through those. Like if my family's like, we keep missing family guidance because of, you know, a school schedule or something, maybe we need to go in home for like a couple weeks to like help you implement these things at home. All these routines and schedules and all these techniques that we utilize in the clinic, we utilize with like our kids, like these can be trained and utilized in any environment. And you're going to get so much more out of utilizing these as a parent, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the most consistent factor in your child's life.
Right.
So like, that's great that I can do that, you know, in a clinic with a kid for 4 hours a day for the next 6 months. That may not maintain over the next decade, but what will maintain is if I teach mom how to do it.
Right. Exactly.
Correct.
I agree. The same. Like we have to have buy-in from everybody that has an impact in Isaiah's life. And then in the bigger picture, we need that buy-in from the community. We need the community to have more empathy and accessibility, so our autistic people and disabled people can navigate in the community safely. So it's really important.
Yeah.
And what do you think are the challenges? Let's talk about a few of them.
The list is so long.
If you prioritize the top 3.
I would say accessibility to the services. So you have finances and you have insurances that close panels and refuse to provide these services, and they fight you tooth and nail every step of the way because they don't want to pay or because there's a history of fraud in one area in the state. So then they're going to apply that to the entire state. So, you know, number one, I would say is accessibility, because we have so many parents on wait lists that want to be seen. And we don't have a wait list right now. Like we are an open clinic trying to get kids in, and we have to tell so many parents no, because we can't take their insurance. And unfortunately, like I have to also keep the lights on. And like, as much as I would love to work for free and be able to provide it for free, like we can't. And so the accessibility is really hard. And then there's so much going on at home as a parent. Like, this is why I always tell my parents, I'm like, if you can hit 80% of opportunities, that's a really great like measure to try to hit and get to. You're not going to hit 100% of opportunities to be reinforcing and trying to navigate and change behavior at home, especially if you also are having additional siblings at home, if you have additional children with medical needs at home, if you have to also be working a full-time job and your partner has to be working a full-time job. There's this really, it's very overwhelming. I think, you know, for a lot of parents too, like they also need the support and the space to explore and process that this can be traumatizing and this can be very difficult to accept that you're not getting the experience you thought you were going to get with a child. And that needs to have its own space to like go through that as well.
I agree 100%. I think that, again, just the understanding that the general population has is not there. It's not where it should be. And I feel like if we can really probably start in the schools with a buddy system where you have a neurotypical person that is spending time with
Neurodiverse.
absolutely, it would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But also in community groups like Boy Scouts, 4-H, there's so many community organizations that I think if they really just took a few moments to realize they could be more accessible, it would open so many doors.
Yeah.
It really would. And that type of support for parents is gold. Because just like you're saying, parents are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And to be able to know, okay, Tuesday we go to Boy Scouts and there's Joe, and Joe is going to be buddies with Isaiah, and he has that time. I mean, it just feels good. So I think that's would be really beneficial.
Yeah, I think too, if everyone in the community can just agree, if you see a child having a tantrum and a parent struggling, either ask if they need help or move on.
Correct.
Like, stop staring, like, stop making comments, like, let them either deal with the tantrum and normalize that it's okay that children have tantrums.
Absolutely.
And it's not normal or okay to just continually be like, oh my God, my child's crying and people are looking at me, here, have the cookie.
Right. Exactly. That's not right. You're reinforcing the bad behavior. 100%.
So you will be seeing me when we have a child. You will be seeing me in the community work through a tantrum.
Yeah.
Because you have to. And so, I mean, if people could just be a little bit more giving that, yeah, you might have a kid crying in the Wendy's next to you at the table. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Like, let them work through it. You don't need to be adding to it. You don't need to be making comments. You don't need to be going over there. It's okay.
Yeah, that is something too that I see within the autism community. It's a real struggle. Is this getting too sensitive about, you said nonverbal, I'm non-speaking, calling it the wrong thing.
Correct.
And it's too much, and it really stops growth and progress. And we need that. And
correct.
So
it's like a barrier.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure.
Fantastic. And what are your future goals? You as a professional, and then you as a parent. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're still trying to get up and running. So, our goal at the end of the day is we hope to kind of like fill our clinic space. So we're able to be helping as many families as we can, continue to kind of like outreach. We're part of a couple different programs out in kind of like Orlando with like connecting with other professionals. We're trying to get speech and OT to be able to come directly into our facility. So that way we're able to provide kind of like all the services under one house, which cuts down on a lot of barriers when as a parent, you're not having to drive to 3 separate locations across a week. Yes. And also like we help each other and we can talk and we can discuss, hey, is this goal relevant or is this goal accessible to this child, or am I placing something on them that like they can't physically do from like a vocal or a finer gross motor capacity?
Yes, over to you. So my goals as a parent with Isaiah is just to continue to push him to grow and to live up to his potential, to fulfill his potential, and in all the ways that I can do that. I really am loving the advocacy work that I'm doing, and I want to continue that and bringing the art into more public spaces, more libraries, hotels, coffee shops, so that we have this art that can empower people. So that's where I'm at.
So where do you see your nephew? Where do you see him supposedly on his independence? So when he is independent, how do you see him? What is the future that you have visioned?
For our child, Isaiah is significantly delayed. So it's likely that he'll probably never be fully independent. We would love that. But if Isaiah could make a meal for himself, that would be a huge goal. And that's something that we're working on, learning how to use the microwave, just setting him up for success. So just those kinds of independent skills would be amazing. When we got Isaiah, he couldn't open a water bottle. I mean, he was so significantly delayed, and so those kinds of independence where he could, do his own hygiene routine. I mean, that is such we would give him a sense of pride and purpose, and everyone needs to have that sense of purpose. So like for our child, he'll never be able to be employed, but he can do things. So I want to continue to find opportunities and create opportunities where he can do things. It might be, moving the chairs and stacking the chairs. It might be something very small, but that's his job. And you can tell when he does a job and he finishes it, he knows that's my job.
Correct.
When we are in the store, he pays for the transaction.
Wow.
So he puts the card in, he presses the button. That's his job. He pushes the cart. That's his job. The more things that we can find for him to do, that gives him purpose and that keeps him moving along. So I create inclusive art and for the purpose with building self-worth and also awareness for people with disabilities. And like this is one of the pieces. This is a mermaid in a wheelchair. And this is in gift shops by the beach. This is also in some hospitals. So putting the art in places where it can be seen by a lot of people. We have a collection that we have right now in some hotels, and we're really expanding that. So having a gallery with some of our pieces, and
that's such an innovative way to put across awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, just by the look of it, you can really understand what you're trying to portray. It's so beautifully done.
Thank you.
So nice and very thoughtful. Because what I think is more than neurotypicals, I think the neurodiverse are the ones who now need to be educated, because they are the ones now who need to create the environment for the neurodiverse. So this is the best way to do it, and nothing better than art can
for sure
do this thing.
For sure, art just it transcends language, and it's very powerful.
Correct.
So it's been really encouraging. The hotels that are willing to work with us and put the art in, businesses. So we're getting such a good response. Hospitals. It's been really encouraging.
So this is the card that they give to every individual who comes in.
So actually, this is just the illustration. This is a postcard, but we have this actually on large for like a hospital on a really large acrylic canvas, acrylic or canvas, depending on where it's going. We customize it to the space. So yeah.
Fantastic. And I did see that you do a lot of seminars as well, workshops.
Yes.
So let us know about that.
Yes. So a lot of times we will work with the schools or churches to just to educate with the book and with the coloring books. We also will talk to police about safety, about how important it is to understand when you encounter an autistic person. Traveling is huge. It's a huge part of what I do, and I work with parents about how to travel safely and how to navigate the community safely. That's a big part of what I do.
Fantastic. So could you just tell us 5 very important tips for parents during their travel?
Yes. So the first thing is to be prepared.
Mhm.
You have to have a plan. You have to have a game plan. That's extremely important. And to practice that plan. So so let's say you want to go to Disney. That's a life dream. Disney's amazing, and it's very expensive. So you just don't go to Disney. You have to work up with smaller trips, smaller encounters. For sure. So prepare. We also always look for a safe escape, a safe way out of. So if your child or loved one is having a meltdown or needs to be able to get out quickly, are you going to be able to get out quickly? What's your game plan? So you always have a crisis plan. Always be prepared. For sure.
So you were going to talk about something?
Yeah, with the police involvement in the public. And I've been kind of part of like the group homes and the adult care in Orlando for like the last 10 years. So I've really seen the police involvement has increased, and it's become so much better than what it maybe was 10 years ago. We still have those scary kind of situations. We had like a famous case in Miami where there was a healthcare worker that got shot at because he was trying to yell at the police that like the kid has autism, and the kid was playing with a truck in the middle of the street, and they thought it was a gun. And so they fired and they hit the healthcare worker. So I think that specific situation probably went on to really create better care and a better response from our police. I'm very happy to say, I've never had a bad interaction with any of the police officers, and I've had to call them for support quite a bit working in the community because some of the clients we worked with are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And some of them are pretty heavy hitters when they get upset. And if you haven't learned how to regulate anything and you're 35, 36 years old, you can do some significant damage without realizing it. They have an Angel Sense program as well that I think is really important.
It's good.
Yeah, for parents to know that you can bring like cloth or something of your child's. They'll put it in a box. And if your child ever goes missing, they can pull that out and dogs can sniff that and track and find the child.
So talking about some of the workshops that I do, working with police stations and safety officers has been really rewarding and impactful. I travel all over the country, and different parts of the country have different resources and different beliefs about autism and disabled people. And so I know communities that really need these workshops. And it's I like to go in and have conversations about safety. And when you see encountering an autistic person, how to navigate that and how to be calm. That's been really a really good and impactful thing that we do. So Izzy Doll, this is the character from the book. This is Izzy, and this is Izzy's Autism is My Superpower. But he's a really cool doll. He has a speech tablet. In the book, he uses sign language, PECS, and his speech tablet. So Izzy Doll has his little speech pad, and the sneakers here, they can untie so kids can practice tying their shoes. And he's very soft, made in that way just for Isaiah. All the things Isaiah likes. And this is Lucky Dog, which is Izzy's service dog in the book. And this is just a great tool because it helps show that service animals are helpful and important to autistic persons.
Wow, that's really nice and thoughtful.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think it's important I created it as a learning tool, but I've gotten so much feedback about how parents are grateful that there's representation for their child that's nonverbal. So yeah, I think it's important and nice.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So do you custom make it, or this is
Yes, I created this character. It's based on Isaiah, my kiddo, and this is custom made.
Okay.
As for the character in the book, and these are all available on my website.
Fantastic. So my question was, do you custom make it for each child?
No. We have this is just Izzy doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Thank you.
To kind of help with like bridging gaps and bringing services to you, we've been working on a course called Thriving Together. And so it is through an ABA lens on a kind of down to the basics parenting course. It's 8 weeks long. Each week covers a different topic with a PowerPoint, and then we speak on each slide as well to kind of give more information and give examples. What's really unique and really cool about the course though, and to kind of keep costs down, is it is like a self-paced course. We priced it to be something that is very, much more achievable than having like singular coaching. But what we did is we added a Google Classroom. So all the parents taking the course are connected in the classroom and can get support, and they can post videos or clips or questions and examples. We have analysts and ESE teachers that are in the course that are going to be responding, providing support, providing some suggestions, and providing feedback. And then with taking the course, we'll also connect you to a lifetime membership on like a Facebook group that you can always be kind of posting and getting support and answering questions and helping and connecting with other parents.
Wow. Yeah. That's really nice, because speaking out your mind does not always happen with the therapist.
Yeah.
You can speak to other parents and find your solutions as well sometimes. Oh, that's a nice thing.
Yeah, so we're working on that. We're just getting the closed captioning done, so that way it's accessible to anyone, since we also wanted to make sure that there weren't barriers to being able to get a hold of the course. And then it should be live.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Beautiful initiatives that you all two are taking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commendable.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So it has been amazing talking to both of you. So one last question to sum up our conversation. That one message that you would love to give to our parents and our audience for that matter. And yes, one message that you would love to give. So let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say don't be afraid to be like reaching out with these different providers and different therapies that you think could be beneficial for your child. Ask for tours, ask, to take the time to really talk with them. I think the right provider is kind of what's going to determine the line between having someone that's really supportive and can help you on this journey versus kind of feeling like you're lost and there's so much to figure out and there's so much to struggle with on your own, and there's not like an autism.com that you can just go to and like read everything down.
Correct.
And you wouldn't retain it all.
No.
Yes.
I think that it's important to not give up, to know that every day is a new day, and to keep building on your skills and not to give up. Every step forward is forward, and it's very important for the quality of life for you and your loved one. It's not fair to live in a box or to put yourself in a box, and it's not healthy. So keep moving forward and keep trying new things. And just remember, if one door is closed, there's another way. So reach out to your teachers, reach out to people in the community, and don't give up.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, both of you. And we are truly honored to have you both. So thank you so much.